Good morning and welcome to the first day of the 2021 legislative session. It's a session unlike any we have seen before. We are starting out with the Minnesota House operating completely remotely. We will have very limited staff and members working in the state capitol building because we want to protect the health and lives of state representatives, our staff, members of the public, and people who work in and around the Capitol complex. We are determined to make safety for Minnesotans and safety for the people who work for Minnesotans our top priority. This legislative session will see a series of questions and a series of tests for us. We will find out whether Minnesotans will accept the outcome of an election that was fairly decided and has returned a majority of DFLers to the State House. We will find out whether state representatives are ready to maintain the fight against COVID-19 or whether they want to surrender that fight and let the disease rage. We will find out whether state representatives are ready to fight for Minnesota's working families to create better jobs, living wages, paid leave, childcare, affordable health care, and a secure retirement. This pandemic has laid bare the structural inequities in our political and economic systems. The rich and big corporations are getting richer, but working families are struggling the most. House Democrats are going to fight for our values until the clock runs out on this session. We are determined to make Minnesota a better place to live and work and thrive for everybody by the end of this legislative session. And we believe that we can make progress with Senate Republicans as we made progress over the last year. The challenges are significant. This is a big test for state government. It is a big test for Minnesotans, but we believe we can come out of this better if we continue to work together and work hard on behalf of working Minnesotans.
In some ways, we will see a very different 2021 legislative session than what we saw in 2019. By operating remotely, things will look different, things will feel different. The pandemic has certainly changed everything about our day-to-day operations at work and at school for all of us. But my hope is that the results will be similar to what we saw in the last biennium. Now, certainly there are enormous goals that we have for the state of Minnesota that we can only accomplish with a democratically controlled Senate. But in 2019, despite the difference in the majority Senate Republican approach and the majority Democratic approach in the House, we were able to reach a budget that served the people of Minnesota relatively on time and to accomplish other major policy objectives. We were able to take action on items that had languished, protecting people in long-term care, handling texting while driving, battling insulin and the opioid epidemic. All that was the result of bipartisan work. Here, going into 2021, we look back at the last year of 2020, we saw a lot more partisan conflict. It was a campaign year. At times, it was an ugly campaign year. At times, we saw Senate Republicans being pretty hard on Governor Walz, and I would say in some cases unfairly so. But nevertheless, during 2020, we did an enormous amount of good work for the people of Minnesota. Early on in the pandemic, we had 4-caucus agreement to move very swiftly to provide assistance to our hospitals, childcare providers, and small businesses, and so many others. We came together early to protect our first responders who get COVID-19 on the job, to make sure workers' compensation was there for them. During the summer, we came together. We got done a very important bill on police reform and accountability, a first step, but a very important first step. And then in the fall, we passed the largest public works bill in Minnesota's history. And in December, our last special session, though very contentious, the work product was very important to the people of Minnesota. We provided assistance to small businesses, and we provided unemployment insurance for Minnesotans. We didn't have to worry about what was going to happen or not happen in Washington, D.C., because we had been able to come together on a bipartisan basis in Minnesota and get things done. So in some ways, you've seen this movie before. The players haven't changed. Senate Majority Leader Paul Gazelka, Governor Tim Walz, and I continue to lead. We have a good working relationship, and my hope is that the ending of the 2021 session will be relatively similar to the end of the 2019 session. We will fight like hell for the principles that we stand for. And no doubt, Senate Republicans will do the same. But in the end, I believe that we will compromise and we will enact a budget that's in the best interest of Minnesotans. With that, we're ready for questions.
All right, first up is